Welcome to the Rising for Women podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Merlo-Booth, and I believe the world will be changed for women when we change how we walk in it. So each week, we're going to have hard conversations. We're going to explore new options. Some of them are going to be hard options, and we're going to have some real straight talk. We're going to do that because I have faith that women can handle it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Rising Podcast for Women with your host today. We are missing Arlene. I'm your host, Lisa Merlo-Booth, and Dee Marcotte. Welcome, Dee. We're missing you, Arlene. Arlene will be jumping on the next one. And before we jump into today's topic, just want to let you know we will be taking a hiatus, a little vacation for the summer, and this will be the last one for several weeks, and then we'll be jumping back on in the fall. So hopefully you guys will rejoin us and enjoy your vacation and your summer as well. Okay, so just a trigger warning for everybody. Today's topic is a hard topic. We're going to be talking about mass shooting that just occurred recently, and a different take that we feel like isn't being talked about near enough. And so let me just open it up with that for a second. So on May 24th, 2022, we had an 18-year-old male enter an elementary school, Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, and he killed 19 people. 17 were children between the ages of 9 and 10, and 2 teachers. And as you can imagine, our world is, our nation, not our world, the United States, is sending love and prayers once again. And there's a big fight over gun control, no gun control, the NRA. There's just the same old usual shit is going on. And meanwhile, we have 19 devastated families who went home that night and they had no child to tuck in to bed. One of the families, the teacher passed away. She didn't pass away. The teacher was murdered, and her husband died of a heart attack 2 days later. They have 4 children. So those 4 children lost one mother to a mass shooting and a father to a broken heart. So now we have 4 orphans because of another angry male. So, and then 10 days prior to that, we had another angry male go and shoot up a supermarket in Buffalo, New York. And he was an angry white male who went into a supermarket to shoot up as many Black Americans that he could find. All I can say is, hell yeah, we need gun control. Like, there's 1,000 reasons we need gun control. One of the main reasons is because we have freaking angry white males who are going around and they want to buy a gun. So yes, we need gun control. No, we're not trying to steal all your guns. And for me, the bigger issue is we have a big pink elephant stomping around our country that we are not dealing with, and that is angry male violence. I'm going to read a statistic here, because before everybody's like, why are you blaming males? Because we know this is fact. So studies have shown from there were 266 out of 266 mass shootings between the years 2009 and 2022. 249 of them, the shooter was male. Males are shooting up. That's the problem. Not only are males doing the mass shootings, males are raping, males domestic violence. 71 of those mass shootings, the shooter had a known history of domestic violence. There is a definite connection. They know, the studies show there's a connection between domestic violence and mass shootings. There's an issue. There's a problem. Something's going on in our country today. And the men are angry and they're wreaking havoc. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that, Dee?
Well, first of all, just listening to all those statistics and everything you just said, it's kind of like, I can hardly breathe, is the first part. It's like, what the hell? Like, how can we be, you know, this first world country and have this happen? How can, you know, each time it's like, oh my God, how did that happen? Well, they had guns that were available to them, and nobody was paying attention to a whole slew of things. But one of the articles I read, which kind of named this phenomenon, is white male grievance culture.
White male grievance culture. Say more.
So it is the idea that regardless of socioeconomic status or any kind of thing like that, if you're white and male, you do in fact have privilege. Now people can go blah, 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 about whatever. It's like, look, you have it. You wouldn't have any idea about what you don't have to live with, because you don't have to live with it. You don't have to think about it, kind of thing. Part of it is being extremely entitled. I'm entitled to have what I want when I want it and get it however I want it, sort of thing. There's the idea of that there's a masculine way to show that I'm pissed as hell and gain control of whatever I don't think I have control over. And what they see is you just get guns and shoot things up, you know.
So I'm gonna speak to, there's like so many things going on behind the scenes with me right now, like in my head, and I'm gonna speak to this. First off, I want to be really clear to the men who are listening. This is not about man hating. I have so many men in my practice who I just love. I adore. I think they're awesome. I have a son, I have a husband. I love them to death. Well, not to death. I love them alive.
Right.
I love them, you know. I'm personally angry at what we do to men and boys, and I'm angry about what boys and men are doing, you know, in return or as a result or whatever. And I'm also damn angry that I need to state that I'm not a man hater. This is a problem. This is a problem. So we have so many people tiptoeing on eggshells around men and boys. We have girls doing it. We have moms doing it. We have wives doing it. We have teachers doing it. The world is tiptoeing around men and boys, and the men and boys are getting damn angry. And every time they get angry, which is the only emotion we allow men and boys to have, right? It's like they get really angry and we all squash and we shut down and we're like, no, 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 you're right. You're victims too. No, 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 no. We need men and women, girls and boys, all of us to cut the shit. We need all of us to start standing up together for men and women to have a different culture. Because, you know, yes, men are entitled. White men are entitled and privileged, right? Did you know, you don't need to feel anything about that other than to know it. Does it make you bad? We're not even going into that, right? I am more privileged than a Black woman. I am. I just am. Does it make me bad? I don't know, but I am. And so, but the thing is, we have a culture here where we set up boys from, I would say, as early as the age of like 4 even. I have had clients, I used to do home-based work, and I have had moms call their 4-year-old a little sissy and a little pussy. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's 4 years old. I don't want to have a sissy in my house. I don't want to have a crybaby. I've had fathers be like, you are not, don't you ever touch a doll. I don't want to see that in your, like, and you wipe those tears from your face, young man. Like, all of that is just teaching boys to shut down, shut down, shut down, shut down. You cannot feel, you cannot express, you cannot, the only thing you can feel and express is anger and rage, and you can get big and you can bully and you can hurt. That's the only okay thing. And so when you're saying
something to what you're saying, and that is also how we rip boys away from their mothers.
Yes.
You know, you're mama's boy, you're whatever. It's kind of like, there is a whole developmental thing that needs to happen over a long period of time. And it's appropriate to want to be around your mother or look for her nurturing or that sort of thing. So that's just, I think that's just another really big thing in this.
It's so big. It's so big, but they get shamed for it. And like, even men, if men have a good relationship with their moms, they'll say, oh, he's a mama's boy. He's like 40 years old and you're calling him a mama's boy because he's got a good relationship with his mom. But if he has a bad relationship with his mom, oh, something's wrong with him. He's not good with women.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? We have this straitjacket for men. And then, you know, Dee, we were talking a little bit before, and I wonder if you can say a little bit about, you know, some of these shooters. And you were talking about how, like, they weren't comfortable around girls, and they, you know, there was like that whole piece, and they were being bullied. So say a little bit about that as well, because that plays so much into this toxic masculinity and us shutting them down.
So often it's there's maybe several failures, maybe social failures, rejections, the being bullied piece. And nowadays, this isn't like when you were a kid, if you're older, and it's kind of like, you know, the kids bullied you at school in the playground, but that was it. This is like, now you get bullied at school, you get bullied at home, maybe even from your parents, you get bullied online and social media. I mean, people can put anything they want on social media and start a whole kind of thing. So there's all of that. There's a lot of these angry boys and men. They didn't date usually very much. And they're part of a group that they call involuntary celibacy. So they're pissed off because, you know, they didn't get as many dates, or they didn't get a date, or, you know, whatever happened.
Let's drill into just a moment to they're called incels, right? It's a group, incels. And I want to talk how that also plays into the toxic masculinity, because one of the things about toxic masculinity is we teach boys to man up, man up, man up, man up, and empathy down. I would say man up and empathy down, right? Don't show a lot of compassion, empathy for anybody, right? Toughen up, toughen up, toughen up. Don't feel. Have as much sex with as many women as you possibly can. And by the way, yes, women, not gay, don't be gay, right? With as many women as you possibly can, and don't get, the word is pussy whipped by any of them, which means don't fall in love with any of them, right? So these incels,
don't even care about them. It's not even in love. It's don't even care.
Don't care about them. So these incels are like, well, I want to have sex and I need to have sex. And these girls are saying no. And then they're getting angry at the girls and pissed because they're like, what's wrong that you don't want to have sex with me? And then our society kind of just plays even more into that when they blame rape victims for what she's wearing, how she let them on, we also teach these boys, if they ask a girl out on a date and she says no, they're like, well, ask her again. She's just playing hard to get, all this stuff. And when girls say no, they really mean yes. There's 1,000 things. So these incels are like, what the hell? I'm not getting sex. And they're getting angry about it. And our culture is pressuring them to have sex in order to be a man. And at the same time that they're pressuring them, our world is shutting them down and saying, and I don't want to hear you sad that you can't have a girlfriend. I don't want to hear you upset that she said no. I don't want to hear you like kind of do any, self observation to figure out, I wonder what's going on. I need to learn these skills, because that's all being a wuss.
Mm-hmm.
So
and as a result, then there's the hating of like, yes. And now I get to hate not you, girl, who said no, all girls, all women. Like now it's like I not only am I not looking at myself, but I'm going to generalize to everybody.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. That is so much information. All right. Okay. So that's what's going on in our world. I mean, like, that's what's going on. And
can you, why don't you talk about the ex-executive of the NRA and what the message was?
Oh, so sad. Okay. So, he was the ex-executive of the NRA. His name is Ryan Bussey, and he is now the senior advisor for the Giffords. She was shot. She was a senator who was shot. I forget her first name. Abby. Oh, I forget her first name. Anyway, but he now really works towards gun reform. And I want to read what he was saying. He was on NPR and he said that there's a glorification of militarized violence, this faux patriotism, this whole idea that you can only be a man. There's an actual man card campaign. You purchase an AR-15 and get your man card. That was the advertising campaign that led to the sale of the Sandy Hook rifle, and the exact same rifle that was used in the Buffalo shooting 10 days prior to this shooting at Robb Elementary. So there's a man card. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this shooter at the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, he, on his 18th birthday is when he went out to get this AR-15 man card gun.
And 375 rounds of ammunition.
Yeah. And the idea that you can buy an AR-15, you can buy a machine gun, a killing machine at 18 years of age, when we know boys are angry. That's the time where, like, boys and girls, right? Like, adolescence is just a tough time, right? But you can't vote till you're 21. You can't rent a rental car until you're 25, but you can buy a rifle at the age of 18. He went 18 years old, gets a rifle, and buys hundreds of rounds of ammunition.
And I don't know if people understand that, like we've, because of where we've come from and everything, we think, like, yeah, they should be old enough, blah, blah, blah. But what we know now from neuroscience is there isn't what's called an executive function. I can't really think through this whole thing. And not only that, especially if I'm younger than 24, all I think about are the positive consequences. I never once consider a negative consequence.
Yeah.
So
And
there's
the
that
positive,
on top of. Mhm.
right. And so one of the positive consequences for these shooters in particular
Mhm.
is notoriety.
Yep.
They go from being bullied and ignored and kind of emotionally beat up and feeling horrible and not having dates and not being seen by women to now all of a sudden I'm a national name.
Mhm.
And now I'm inflicting the pain that I have internally on everybody else, and I don't give a damn about it. Because why? Because we man them up and we empathy them down.
Mhm.
Man up, empathy down.
Well, and part of the man up, empathy down, and that part of like looking internally that you talked about is the idea that if I have been feeling, um, you know, undone or mistreated or whatever, you're at fault.
You're at fault. Yeah. It's
You're
not
at
my
fault.
fault. Yeah.
It's not my fault. It doesn't have anything to do with me. It doesn't,
Right.
it's all your fault.
Yeah.
And so I get to take it out on you by shooting people I don't even know.
Ugh. And okay. So, and I want to, I just want to say, so these mass shootings just happened, and violence at the hands of men is happening across the board, whether it's sexual harassment, sexual assault, rape, physical assault, if it's mass shootings, if it's domestic violence, beating up their girlfriends, their wives. There's a high incidence of partner abuse in high school. That's a high incidence. So this male aggression is happening across the board. And so here's the thing: we're setting men up and boys up they have one avenue in when it comes to emotions. Their only avenue to still be seen as a man is to be tough, be strong, bully others, right? And as a matter of fact, the most common bulliers have been bullied themselves, by the way. And so I'm going to tell you a couple things that I see, and then I want to read a stat. So what's happening to the men? What's the cost to the men here? I have umpteen men in my practice over the past 20 years. I don't even know how many men I've seen in my practice. And many of them, I work with a lot of couples. And so many of the couples in my practice are coming to me because of two main things in their marriage. I would say three main things, but let's talk about two of them. The first one is emotionally shut down men. The women are lonely and they're like, he doesn't talk, he doesn't share. When I'm upset, he can't meet me. And these men want to. They want to. And like, it breaks my heart because they want to save this marriage. 75% of divorces are initiated by women. These men love their wives. They love their families. They do not want to leave their families. And they're like, I don't know how to, empathy up. You've taught me my whole life to empathy down. I don't know how the hell to empathy up. And then the second one is they're aggressive. I don't work with domestic violence, so they are emotionally aggressive. They are verbally abusive. They have hot tempers. They yell, they scream. Even if they're not yelling and screaming, they have like an intense where intimidation factor with their wives. And so the wives are like, I just can't anymore. And again, this is toxic masculinity. You can intimidate her, but don't you dare soften and say, I'm really hurt and sad that you ... So I'm seeing men losing their marriages. I'm seeing men, they don't have friendships where they can actually honestly talk about it because the other men can't meet them. They don't know what the hell to do, right? Women can actually talk about their sadness, their upset, their anger, whatever with other women. Men don't know how to do that. So they're isolated, lonely. They're getting more and more distant from their kids. And the over, like the biggest kind of draw it to the end is suicide. And I thought this was very interesting. The highest rate of suicide is middle-aged white men. Middle-aged white men. So in 2020, white males accounted for 69.68% of suicide deaths, and 52.83% of all suicide deaths that year, this is just 1 year, were by firearm. So we're killing our men, and then our men are killing us. And I wouldn't say we're killing our men, we're shutting our men down, and we're, you know, empathy,
We're killing them
emotionally, and they're killing us physically, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So Dee, what the hell do we do?
I don't know, go on a crusade. All kinds of it. But
you laugh about that, but I really have been thinking around that piece. Like that's I'm really thinking like, oh my God. And to me, I feel like the only way to really change this is we need healthy, mature men and women together. We need a core, like men and women. It can't be just women. It can't be just men. We need men and women coming together and really like, okay, boom, boom, boom. Here's how to do it. Here's step 1. Here's step 2. Here's step 3. Here's what's crazy toxic, toxic masculinity. Here's what, and by the way, women are just as much hurt by the way we're raised, right? It's the perfect storm. Women are like, don't make waves, don't speak up for yourself, walk on eggshells. And what does that do? That leaves us women complicit with men, right? Which, by the way, is one of the steps we need to change. We got to stand up to this craziness. Men have to stand up to it. Boys need to stand up to it. Girls need to stand up to it. Women need to stand up to it. And we don't have near enough of that by men, by boys, by girls, by women, by teachers, none of it.
Right. Agreed.
Get me on my box. Go ahead.
What it made me think about, though, was a friend of mine who her son was turning 16, and they've done this for each of their boys when they turn that age. So they have like the celebration, which is the whole family, men and women and that sort of thing. And then there is a certain time set aside where the dad and his friends all they have a conversation with him about what does it mean to be a good man? What are the values? So there's this sort of ritual to becoming responsible and thoughtful and kind and that sort of thing. I
love that.
I was kind of like, oh my God, that is so fantastic. You know? Like,
we should have them on. We should have them on one time.
We should.
We should have the fathers on one time. That would be so cool.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was so cool. I mean, I thought that was just so cool. So I think that's like there's those sorts of things. I think we need to, earlier you were talking about, like, don't be a sissy, don't be a wuss, da da da. So it's really changing our language, I think, in terms of what's that like? Describe it. What are the variety of things that could happen about it? One of the things in one of the articles I read talked about the fact that none of the mass shooters had anyone to support them around what was going on in terms of bullying or their feelings or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So providing a place for that. And then I loved this wording in one of the articles, and it was, we need positive bystander behavior.
Yeah. Oh, everywhere on so many issues.
Yeah, like anywhere and everywhere. But the idea that what that means is the idea that don't just go, oh, well, they don't really mean it, or, oh, it's just boys being boys, or, oh, who would ever really do, like all those things we tell ourselves, they're not accurate. and we need to step in,
Yeah.
and we need to say, whoa, that's scary. That is not a way to handle things. Let's get you some support and some assistance,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like, either,
Right.
healthy men, healthy women, therapy, whatever it might be. And that we step in. We
Yeah.
say, this isn't okay. We're going to call someone to come and help you.
Well, and so let's break that down. So to everybody who's listening on this podcast, this happens 1,000 times a day, like all over our country with at every level. So let's say you are with your 15-year-old son and you hear him saying, "Oh, she's hot." Right then, as a dad, as a mom, you're like, "Hey, that's not very respectful. I don't want to hear you talking like that." Or like, "Hey, like, what do you, when you say that, it feels like you're kind of treating her as an object. What do you think about that?" Right? You have somebody at school saying, "Oh, I'd love to shoot up the school too." You'd be like, "Hey, first off, that's not funny. And second off, that's like worrisome to me." And then I would like mention it to a teacher, or, like get a little bit more information. You have somebody at school and one of them's like, "Oh, you're such a dork." And if it's your friend, you hit them, you kind of nudge them on the elbow and you're like, "Hey, dude, stop. That's not cool." Right. Or if those friends aren't doing it, somebody else is like checking in. Or for a teacher, if you're a teacher, stop just thinking kids will be kids. Until you create a new culture and a new environment. Yeah, they're doing what everybody's saying is okay. So I don't care if it's kids being kids or boys being boys. It's killing us. It's killing them. So you have to start stepping in the minutia, tiny little steps, whether it's your son, it's your nephew, it's your, classmate, it's your parent, whatever, it's your own child. Stop doing these. You have to really get out of gender stereotypes. Gender stereotypes are killing us. With boys, you need to, from a very young age, be checking in with them about their emotions. "Hey, it looks like you're really angry right now. Are you angry? Right? Tell me what's going on for you. Hey, you look kind of sad. What's up?" "I'm not sad." It's okay to be sad. We're all sad. That's just part of, being a human. Dad's doing that. Mom's doing that. Because I can guarantee you, not one of these parents of these mass shooters said to themselves, "I'm going to raise a mass shooter." Not one. Not one.
When I was in college, a family sort of adopted me, and he had two sons. And when they were 14, actually, he would sit them down and he would talk about gun safety, gun this, gun that. They were always, always, always under lock and key. The children had no idea of how to get in there. So that's part of this responsibility.
Yeah.
And then I got to go shooting with them. So quite frankly, I'm someone who loves to shoot a gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not at people.
Right. I'm glad to hear that. Right.
I was glad to hear that. So like he would take us way far away from anybody and this and the other thing. And then he'd pick things for us to shoot at. He'd have a whole conversation with them about, like you were just saying, you never shoot at a person, you never this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. And as soon as they came home, it was, okay, how do you undo everything in your gun? And how do you put it away and lock it?
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things is a lot of these shootings are because the guns are available.
What was that stat you had on that?
It was over 60% of people, the shooters could get their guns because they were just out and about at home.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's the responsibility that the parents aren't doing. Yeah. And even when you lock them, like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, look, you cannot control an 18-year-old boy who's really, really angry and feeling beat up and whatever, especially if you haven't done the work from a young age, you know,
Right.
or you're not doing it now.
Right.
The last thing that I want us to talk about a little bit is, well, two things. One is about boys and girls, how to teach them, what you need to teach them that. And two is about going back to where you were saying that your friends, the fathers, sit the boys down on their 16th birthday and have that conversation. From the day your children are born, you want to teach them the importance of respecting and honoring the bodies, minds, and hearts of all of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be just infused into their soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to hurt somebody. You don't get to call somebody names. You don't get to make somebody feel bad. Like you really, it's so important. And especially for boys, right? You have to teach them empathy. You have to teach them empathy, because you never know what is going on in their lives. So many parents I talk to, they're like, oh, he doesn't talk. He's just like, fine. I guarantee you there's a lot more going on behind that, fine. And so you need to teach them from a young age, like, hey, this person has feelings. How do you think it felt for them when you did ... What do you think it's like for them when that's happening? Get them connected. You have to really raise them to honor the hearts, minds, and bodies of other people.
Yeah, I think that whole idea that a person isn't an object.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so all of these things that you just stated are about a person is a person.
Yeah.
And so it's not a shooting gallery.
Right.
That is not what people are. Mm-hmm.
Right. And same, carry that over to sex and girls.
Mm-hmm.
Girls are not objects. They are not there for you to have sex with.
Right.
That is not, that's not what they're there.
It's
they're human
purpose.
beings. Right. They're human beings with feelings and thoughts. And if your son is like trying to date somebody and she says no, don't encourage him to keep going after it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. You got to like, hey, honor her. She said no means no. You teach that from a very young age. And this whole idea, oh, when she says no, she means yes. Listen, if she really meant yes and wanted it, then bummer for her. She'll learn how to say yes. You accept her no. That's it. Girls, damn it, you say no. Don't be nice. Don't try to, like not hurt his feelings. You say no. If he's not listening, it's a harder no. If at first you can do it with humanity, like you can honor his heart while you say no, but if he doesn't listen, you ramp it up. You don't ever sacrifice you for them, ever, ever, ever. Or a girl, I don't care who you're dating. Pay attention. Our boys deserve better. Our girls deserve better. We really have to join together and change this whole dialogue. It is not men suck, women suck. It's all of humanity, we all rock, but we've got to create a country and a world where we can thrive. And we got to stop shutting down men. It is so unfair to them. We have to stop teaching women to not have a voice. It is so unfair. Like, we have to do it different, because frankly, we all deserve better. Boys deserve better. Girls deserve better. Men deserve better. Women deserve better. We deserve better. So look, if there's one message, that I hope that you guys get from this is, we need men and women coming together to create a safe environment for boys and girls. And that right now, the way we are raising our boys, it's like emotionally killing our boys, and they are physically and emotionally killing girls and women, and we need to stop it. We got to stop it. It's killing us. So what's the challenge, Dee? 100 challenges here. Go ahead.
100 challenges, but I mean, I think just that idea of step in.
Love
If
that.
something's not okay, step in.
Yeah.
And say something, and have some positive bystander behavior. Someone's speaking in a way that's going to be hurtful to other people, go get help.
Yeah. I love that. Step in, step in, step in. And if you are too afraid to step in the moment and say something to them, do an anonymous tip, call somebody else, tell their friend, call their parent. And this isn't just for shootings. This is any which way. Like, you see anybody hurting anybody emotionally, physically, spiritually, like, be a voice, be a voice. If you wouldn't like them doing it to you, then speak up against it. And if you can't do it right then, for whatever reason, write a note. There's 1,000 ways to do this. We need a courageous society, and a courageous society is going to be one with a voice. So, okay, you guys, here's to a safe summer. I hope that we get a little respite here. I hope that the adults in this country are able to come together and find some radical changes that actually are going to make a difference besides thoughts and prayers. And I hope that, the adults are courageous enough to start raising, different boys and girls so that we can have a different country. Everybody enjoy your summer, get lots of fun, relaxation. We will catch you in the fall. And if you like this, pass it on. If there's something you want to ask, a different topic you want us to cover, let us know in the comments, and we'll catch you in the fall.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Thank you again for joining us this week. And always remember, you have the power to change the world for women by changing how you walk in it. I challenge you to choose one way to stand in your grounded, powerful strength this week and be part of the ripple of change.